Well, hello and welcome to another episode of More Perfect Marketing. My name is David Baer. Today I am joined by Shawn Hill, who is the Community Marketing Director over at a company called Nice Job. We're going to talk about what Nice Job is in just a moment and what they do for businesses. But I want to remind you of one of the principles that we often teach our clients in my company is finding ways to build upon the relationship with your customers, your clients, your patients in a way that really gets them tied to your business, makes them want to love your business and tell other people about your business. And that's really at the core of what we're going to be talking about with Shawn today and what the folks at Nice Job help businesses that work with them accomplish. So, Shawn, welcome.
It's my pleasure, David, to be here. And thank you so much for having me on.
Indeed, indeed. So, there is this subsidiary field in the world of marketing agencies, marketing consultants who specialize in something that in the marketing world, and I know you guys call it something slightly different. So I want to make a point of this. In the marketing world, they often refer to it as reputation management, right? You guys don't call it reputation management. And I wonder if you can explain what you do call it and what it is exactly and why you've focused in the direction that you guys are focused.
Yeah, so at Nice Job in particular, we've made the shift, as we're kind of saying it, from reputation management to reputation marketing. And it wasn't just new lingo and kind of create a new category just to kind of explore that, but it was a fundamental shift on how we execute parts of what our software does and what our business does, but ultimately what we're building forward. So with reputation marketing, we feel that you're able to kind of create, a flywheel sorts, or able to create customer-driven growth, true customer-driven growth, where every customer gives you the potential to bring you another customer. From reputation management, what we saw over the course of the past couple of years is it started getting really into some gray areas and some other areas where in kind of working along with brand marketing, it was really about just trying to only find good reviews, only find good feedback, and sometimes through the shadiest and even practices that were against terms of service, get rid of bad feedback, get rid of bad reviews. So the classic of we only want good news, not bad news. And with reputation marketing, it kind of takes the elements of brand marketing. So getting out who you are, what you stand for, what you attempt to do, and kind of the good parts of reputation management, which is collecting feedback in a fast, efficient way, and then having that collateral to use within your marketing. So by combining it into reputation marketing, what you're getting is you're getting all feedback, able to make cultural changes, systematic changes, whatever changes or evolutions that you need to make based on your customer feedback. But you're also putting it into your marketing channels, from paid ads to just amplifying word of mouth, to create a true system of customer driven growth, which, as I said, is going to be one customer is going to get you another one. And by making that shift, we wanted to get away from people hiding after or hiding from bad reviews, or trying to do tricks and little narratives to try to always make themselves look good and never really accept the bad. And instead, really build trust within their community and really build these strong foundations that were going to allow them to scale their business and, again, grow to a level that's going to be reciprocal and kind of continue on as they scale through. So that's why I made a shift. Sometimes people still call us reputation management. And I guess the only part that really kind of goes with it is, yes, we do help you get more reviews and we have that system in place. But it's that fundamental switch of you're not just kind of managing and monitoring, is you're accepting, you're growing, evolving, and ultimately scaling.
I love that. I want to step back for those listeners who may not be sort of as fully up on what it is that you actually were just talking about. But I want to talk about kind of what the problem is that is getting solved out there by a platform like yours and services like yours. This is a very common thing. Back when I was running a marketing agency, I had a client come to me and said, when somebody types my name into Google, they're finding some terrible things about this one really annoying client I had who posted some nasty stuff. Can you make it go away? And often that is, whether it's a review that gets posted on, I don't know, Yelp or Google or elsewhere, stuff that is what might kick this entire process off from a business's point of view, right? I need to solve a problem. But in fact, you're addressing a much bigger need or desire that a business has. And so I wonder if you can sort of, in as lay term as possible, sort of walk us through that.
Pretty much the best way I kind of describe it is think of like romantic relationships and dating, right? So if you use a dating app or something of that sort, you might go and only put your best looking photos out there. But at some point in that relationship, they're going to go beyond swiping and see what you actually are. They're going to see you when you're not dressed up in a suit and tie. They're going to see you when you don't have your Sunday best on. They might even see you when you're sick, right? And you look really terrible. And so by spending all this time and all this energy in, to the business perspective of just promoting this good, what it was going to be this very big drop off. So the longer that you kept people in that arm's length distance of where they're only seeing you at your best and never seeing at your worst, it made it increasingly difficult for minor things. And then those minor things turn into snowballs. So for example, if you're only posting your 5-star reviews and only of those 5-star reviews, ones that make you sound like you're, whoever's gift to the world, when you have an average day where you didn't do a bad job, but maybe you didn't exceed expectations, right? Or, maybe because people thought that you were going to, change their life with your service, but instead you just kind of solved a couple of key problems. That would almost be creating a harder situation than if you just showed like, hey, we have bad days, and from those bad days we evolve. I talk about like Disney movies, for example, or any of those hero stories. The story, the narrative never goes, they were great, and they continue to be great, and they were great forever, right? They're great, then something knocks them back, then we swell the music and we get John Williams in there, and it's this dramatic, great sort of thing. Well, you're not going to be able to create that with every person you serve. But what you can do is that 2 years ago, if someone finds a review that's really, really scathing of you, you can start putting in place, one, functionally by making the changes in your organization that doesn't happen again. But you also can start to create the narrative that, look, you don't see that same issue come up from 2 years ago, right? It's not in any of those reviews. Someone said that we didn't answer our phone. No one has said that in 2 years. We now always answer our phone. That's a little bit more realistic. And as platforms like Instagram and Facebook and things like that, everyone's kind of broadcasting only their best selves. People more often than not are looking for realism. And if you're not doing that, it seems like there's something to hide. And I also have related it to like computer generated images and CGI, the uncanny valley, when it starts looking too real. And so we found, while in the early days of digital platforms and people didn't know that you could just broadcast out the good, when everyone just assumed everything on the internet was pure and true. Now people are a bit more savvy. So if you're hiding things, that's a bigger red flag than actual things that you've improved and evolved over time. So it's as simple as like, hey, throw one thing on your little Tinder profile that shows you got a zit, because everyone knows that you don't have the best skin all the time. And by doing that, people are going to overlook that one little flaw and start looking at the big picture of it all. So that's why we are really kind of looking at, look, we don't want to get you bad reviews. You need to fix your customer experience. You need to fix your customer journey. You need to fix your internal systems. Our tagline has always been, get great companies the reputation they deserve, because if they're a bad company, the reputation they deserve will be bad. However, doesn't mean they're not savable. Doesn't mean they can't evolve. Can't mean they can't become this huge corporation that's built trust with their community. But ultimately what it comes down to is you have to really accept everything. And if you can make that fundamental shift, the problem you end up solving is now you're not inefficiently wasting time on trying to like keep everyone out and just project this perfect image, because it's almost impossible to do. Instead, you're spending your time on learning, evolving, and growing. And that builds trust much, much quicker than, a picture perfect digital presence.
There's a lot to unpack from what you just shared there. For some businesses where they simply want to engage a service provider to get the good reviews, that's only the tip of the iceberg in terms of what you talked about at the top of the conversation, the stuff that you do. And I think, this is speaks very much to the holistic nature of being able to take relationships with clients and then deploy them back to build additional customers, clients, patients as a result of that, right? So it's not just having stuff up on Yelp or Facebook or Google and letting it do the work for you, but you actually help your clients put this stuff to work for them. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of that piece of it?
Yeah. So, previously I would say in the early days of online customer reviews, the phrase and tagline, and we even use it for a tiny bit of it's just word of mouth gone digital. That's how it was always phrased. But what we realize is that through customer reviews, you're actually getting data that you can put into other parts of your business. And so the one thing we released it a little while ago, a feature within Nice Job is topic insights. And so what it does, it looks through your reviews. It uses machine learning, reading context and sentiment to figure out what exactly your reviews are saying. So no matter what the language you're using, what's the big narrative takeaway? And we realized that as a business owner, if you had that, that would give you the ability to now maybe cater your marketing messages to really hit on that key point. Or if there's something that you're very, very prideful of and no one's bringing up in your reviews, how could you perhaps educate your customers so they realize like, hey, our actual uniqueness here is that we do this. No one ever brings it up, but that's what's actually unique. That's our, the biggest value that we're adding.
I
But then
want
it
to I want to
also
just I
allows,
want to just
yeah,
pause here because what you said here is incredibly valuable. And while it makes total sense to me because I think in this terms all the time, most business owners don't realize the opportunity that they have based on what you just said, right?
yeah,
Take the language, the topics that are being discussed in reviews, and put them front and center as your marketing message. Or the second point that you made was
yeah.
create educational material, maybe as you're trying to nurture a new prospect and you realize that one of the things that is pretty consistently coming up in the sort of information that you guys are gathering on behalf of your clients, right?
Yeah.
That they can use it to write some emails or blog posts that they can draw attention to, saying, other people have told us this, so we're going to use this information to better educate you as somebody who might be making a decision about whether we can help you or not. That's
Yeah.
incredibly powerful.
And that one, it solves a lot of issues within that, right? So one, now it is giving you potentially a content stream. You talked about, I don't know what to write on my blog. I don't know what to send out on my newsletter. I don't know what to share with my email. You potentially can look at your reviews and saying, if people aren't talking about this thing, this is why. And a classic one I'll use is, a carpet cleaner that's a client of ours uses a certain, chemical concoction that makes them have to come out less, right? The carpet stays cleaner for longer. But everyone always talks about like, oh, it looks great, I'll use them again. But this, our client there wanted to really sell like, look, it's not only that, but like now you're spending less money on us because we don't have to come out every 2 weeks, even though you own a dog. It's now staying for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And when he educates his customers on that, that also creates smarter advocates as well. So now if it's friend A is saying like, oh, well, they were this price point and they got my carpets clean. And friend B says, oh, well, this is the same price point. They got my carpets clean. And they use this thing so they don't have to come back for 2 more weeks. You've now created through your customer, like a unique selling proposition there that they're going to go beyond. So you get the content stream, you get the ability to kind of share more out of it, but then also you can look and fundamentally, it might not be having to fully educate the customer. It might be, we need to tell, the person answering our phone, our intake, right? Or a technician or something like that. We need to remind them that they need to bring this part up earlier, or they need to make this mention earlier, because now that sets the rest of the expectations throughout the process better, and that could be a moment where they're happier earlier, or it also could buy you a little bit more trust in difficult situations. Lawyers in particular, I feel like anyone dealing with lawyers, they want a timeline. They want to know when it starts and when it ends. And if you ever had to deal with a legal matter, those are the two things that seem to never really come together. Well, by saying, hey, we have our communication network portal where you can always tune in, or you can always log in and see exactly where we are as the case may things, or live messaging. That might be something that's available to someone that they don't really think about. But by explaining that to them and showing it, it now buys you time and you have to push another deadline or move something back. So we found to kind of bring it back to the core of, getting reviews is great. Sharing reviews to social media, which you can do a nice job, is great. Putting them ad copy is all great, but actually being able to understand what you're putting out there and how your customers are receiving it, that was kind of a little bit of I don't want to say game changer because that word sometimes gets overused, but that was something that's like, okay, this is why when you collect all of these reviews, what you actually can turn it in that's going to be a pillar and build a foundation. And again, that's that shift between management and marketing, is you're not just managing it now, you're actually using it to get more incentives. And the problems you'll solve along the way can be so expansive. And, just as we broke down there, you could start solving, my content problems, my training problems, my customer communication problems. You can start getting at least the very least the collateral and, the ammunition to help tackle some of those problems. And that's why it's important to us to not just be hey, we're going to get you this feedback, but to start educating, our users, but then also really provide all these tools so that no matter where you're looking or what problem you're looking to solve, your reputation collateral can help you solve it.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some specifics within Nice Job, because you are doing something a bit different from other tools out there that are simply gathering and directing people to, hey, did you have a good experience? What is commonly known as the now I've just it's escaped my mind what the heck the thing is called, the on a scale of 1 to 10,
like the review gating sort of thing.
That whole thing, which has been very, very common for a lot of businesses to sort of solicit feedback, and if you get positive feedback, then you say, great, glad to hear that, would you give us a review? Here's where to go to click and add a review on Google. That's an interesting approach to it, but that's not what you guys do. You do stuff that's far more sophisticated, and I think ultimately much more beneficial for the businesses. Can you walk us through what you do?
Yeah, so I'll take up review gating right off the top. So Nice Job doesn't do review gating. When you start using Nice Job, it's going to allow whoever you're sending that review request to leave a review on the platform that it honestly works best for them. But it's usually Google My Business. It could be Facebook. There is possibility to go through Yelp and stuff like that. That's a little bit more nuanced. If you were to onboard, you'll learn how that works in that sense. But from the review gating side of it, Nice Job not doing that. What it comes down to is we kind of figured out that if you tell someone that you are listening, but you don't allow them to be heard, that is such a broken piece of trust, right? So saying like, hey, how'd you feel about us? I felt like a 2. Tell us why. And you write this big thing and it doesn't really go anywhere. That person gets more angry because now they feel they haven't been heard, that you just listen to. So we recommend that when you use Nice Job, we still think it's important that, if you are finishing, a service with someone, you are allowed to, and almost encourage that, not in a gating sense, like, hey, just want to make sure, we're all good, everyone's feeling great, blah, 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 that we've accomplished everything we set out to. That you can do. But as soon as you say, tell us how you feel, you're best served making sure that they can leave that in a public place that they so choose so. Or, if they want to do it privately, you don't trick them into doing it privately. So we have had people that have laid back to us, they sent out, Nice Job starts with a text message, is they've seen a response to that text message like, seriously, you left this behind? Or like, really, you're asking for a review right now? But if that person wanted to click through and do it, they could. But instead, because they've built trust along the way, they're already handling it privately. Mm-hmm. And so when you get into review gating, it is against like Google business profiles, terms of service. If they find out you're review gating, they can strip you of your reviews. They can prevent you from using the platform there. Just overly risky. But what Nice Job does is it sets up a platform with a kind of a drip campaign in a sense. It'll start with a text message, follow with up to 3 emails over the course of 2 weeks, each different in tone, customizable for the user as well. But what it does, it helps at the moment of peak happiness to give a quick way to leave a review, and then throughout those little nudges and little reminders. And when the customer side of things, what they see is they see a nice link, usually a review.new Google shortcode. They'll take you to a little bit of a pop-up box that says, where do you want to leave your review? It has the review sites that you have connected there. So Google, Facebook, Better Business Bureau, those ones I talked about. But you're able to set that order. But the Nice Job software in particular will take a look. And if we are able to determine that they don't have a Google account, they don't have a Facebook account, it's not going to present that option. It's going to try to remove as many barriers as possible so that they can leave a review quick and efficiently. And because ultimately we found out is people don't leave reviews. I always use this analogy. If I asked you, David, like, hey, what do you think of my shirt here? If you could just tell me, you're going to tell me what you think of my shirt. But I say, hey, what do you think of this shirt here? First, I want you to do is I want you to log in, and then I want you to do this, this, and this, and tell me the shirt. You're gonna be like, look, man, I don't really care.
Yeah, it's a little too much friction there. Yep.
Yeah. So Nice Job removes as many barriers for the customer as possible. Allows you to send something out and have the automated follow-up so you don't have to worry about it. There's automation in there that once a review is left, it takes them out of that campaign so they don't get any unnecessary messages. And then once it's left, and again, these are left on the platform themselves. So once it's left on that Google business profile, for example, Nice Job, scans those pages, will pull it back into your dashboard. And that's where things like the topic insights that we talked about, the ability to reply directly, for Google, an example, reply directly from the Nice Job app, be able to automate social sharing to Facebook or Twitter. We now have one. It's a manual one. We're going to get it automated where you can share reviews to Instagram, which we're really, really excited about, get content there. All of that is kind of how Nice Job works in a nutshell. We want an automated thing that can be set it and forget it. And now we're expanding more that if you really want to dive in and really get closer to that true customer driven growth, that's where your insights, social sharing to Instagram, those things are things that are quick and efficient, but really allow you to take that next step. So if you're just looking for reviews, I just need more reviews. I'm not really built to do all that extra stuff yet. That's where the base automation that we do will help you get 2 to 3 times more reviews. But if you're looking to, all right, I really want to sink my teeth in, install reputation marketing for customer driven growth, that's where all those extra features come into play. And you can dive deep in there now. When I first joined, we were very much that first automation, but now you can spend a lot of time in Nice Job if you want and get some really valuable data that's going to help you, build a great foundation.
And you guys think even beyond the stuff that you've just described into how to hand off some of the information that you're collecting and put it into other tools that businesses might own. Can you talk a little bit about sort of maybe a use case or two for integrations that you have?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a couple, from the CRM space, there's kind of integrations, manual triggers, and things like that. One thing that I absolutely love that we're working on, I talked about the social sharing. So we have an in-house or in-app editor at the moment that's going to allow you to kind of share your reviews to Instagram and things like that. But we're also working on some of the maybe more advanced tools in that regard, to really make great content from those from those great review collateral. But I would say with the great thing about Nice Job right now is as we're setting up is when we made this shift to go reputation marketing and really go down this thing is right now we have some integrations, some other things that we really, really are proud about. However, we are more excited about as we connect our community and learn is to kind of guide where we should go. I'll be honest, we don't know what the next thing that we absolutely should integrate with that'll hopefully, be that thing that expands, your capabilities tenfold. But what we've done is by diving in and committing to that customer driven growth as the ultimate goal is we're almost open to exploring any opportunities that kind of might be out there. And I know across different industries, across different businesses, there's kind of different needs, but we don't feel I'm trying to think of the phrase. We don't feel any need to own all these things that are gathering, right? We want to facilitate it for you, but the reviews that are coming in, the narratives that are coming from it, the insight that's coming. We want to start creating this hub that allows you from all these different perspectives to have kind of like your finger on the pulse of what's going on within your business from the reputation space and how that manifests, where that goes, creating, I'm kind of maybe getting a little ahead of myself here, but we've always talked about like kind of fan quadrants, right? My background actually comes from the world of sports entertainment, sports presentation, things like that. And one thing I realized when I came over to almost this business side of it, especially working with small businesses, is instead of marketing on a linear path, looking at it sort of a quadrant of where your customers are, because there's going to be some customers that'll write you a great review. There's going to be other customers that love you, but never will go through that step. There'll be even more customers that'll only use you if you have a deal or a sale or a discount, but don't really care. They think you're all another. Well, how do you activate it based on your goals? How do you activate those different quadrants, right? If you're trying to get a best of this town award, who should you be marketing to that's going to vote for you to get you that achievement, right? If you're looking to really get some more leads in there, who will actually quasi join your marketing team or your sales team? And so what we want to do with the Nice Job platform is create this hub that will build in and easily work with all these other tools we know you might be using to create, like I said, this hub that's going to allow you to actually look at your, customer base, your future customer base, your fan base, if I may be so bold to use the word, and figure out what's the right time to activate them. How can you advocate for them? How can you help amplify their voices when they're advocating for you? And how do you make sure that in doing all of this, it's really getting you closer to that one customer is going to get you another one, and not get bogged down in just trying to, be page one of Google or any of the other stuff that so many people put time and effort into, when really the core engine that's running all of this is who you are as a business and how you've connected with your community.
You just revealed something very, very interesting that I've never heard on the topic of reputation and reviews. So we'll often talk about what channels that you're marketing your business through are the most profitable for you. Where are you getting people? It might be a higher cost, but you're getting a client or customer patient who is worth more to you over time, right? Their lifetime value to you
Yeah.
might be considerably more. And maybe you're getting more referrals from that particular channel than any other. Well, you've talked about sort of the data and the by describing these quadrants, different types of customers who can have an impact in different outcomes, different goals that you're looking to achieve.
Yeah.
And the type of data that you're collecting through the stuff that Nice Job is collecting to help, eventually as you're building this process out. And I know this is still to come in your platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not saying it's there yet. But the ability to guide a business through that thought process of which of these groups of individuals are going to be most helpful for us. And the fact that you guys are thinking about this stuff and listening to your user base is not very common in your space, right? In SaaS in general, and app development and all of that. It's for many tools out there, they're looking at either how can we be everything to everybody, or how could we pack our service with more features than everybody else, so that we can say oh yeah, well, we do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're sort of letting your community guide you, I think is a very smart approach, because you're probably going to come up with solutions that nobody else in your space has even thought of.
I mean, that's obviously what we're hoping for. And we are a little intrigued of why it's not the common thread, right? Like, why isn't everybody saying this? We don't want to seem like we're innovative and swimming upstream because we're just trying to do that. When we kind of looked at collaboration, and we looked at community, and we looked at, what ultimately makes these sort of movements successful, is we found out that it's a little bit of checking the ego at the door. Like, we'd love to be everything for everybody, but then is it become, we're not doing everything well enough? Are we just doing it? And that's, some of our competitors in similar space that throw a million features out there and a pretty hefty price tag. Well, they're not the best at any of those things, but they're kind of good enough. And we kind of realized that also there's so many unique and interesting, people, business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever you want to title them as, out there, that there's no way there's a set solution for everybody. Because even if there was a set solution, there's entrepreneurs out there that'll figure out how to change it just enough to offer a competitor, right? Like that'll always sort of happen, the copycats and things like that.
Yeah.
But what we came down to, and why we're so, kind of bullish about this is the direction we're going, and we're going to be open, and even if people might chuckle or laugh at that, is because the core value of why we were founded was, Lars Christensen, who's the founder of Nice Job, worked for big ad agency, worked for big marketing, and realized that there was companies out there that could throw money at their problems, just kind of get out of it. And there was this core segment that couldn't really get any traction. And so when we realized is that if we're working for that core segment that can't really get any traction, and we teach them how the big guys got to that big money stage, the big money guys will still be able to use that, still be able to use that same data, still be able to use the same infrastructure. So as much as we want to kumbaya to level everything out, the real thing that it levels is everyone can build their own path to success. There's still going to be competition out there. There's still going to be things that you have to ensure, stuff as, team turnover, what we saw in the past 2 years, like unprecedented things can happen to your business. But the things that are the core values that really instill that make success, we can definitely help with that. And it doesn't have to be just our app or just the business owner doing all the heavy lifting. They can build the perfect stack or they can build the perfect system. And if they execute it and they test it and they're loyal to it and they, are willing to be honest with themselves when the system's not working, make the changes to get a system that does work, they start systemizing and really doing things for the right core value. We are confident enough that they'll be successful. So we want to, like I said, if we're the experts in it, then learn from us. But if we're not the experts in it, then learn with us, because if we all do this together, that's when we're truly unstoppable.
All right, Shawn Hill. So if a business owner is listening to this today and they want to find out where they can build that path to success that you were describing together with Nice Job, where can they go to find out more?
So I'd recommend going to our website, get.nicejob.com. Let you know a little secret. You can just put nicejob.com as well. But I'll tell you all about our app, both a review platform we didn't talk about. We also have a website product as well, which helps kind of close out that customer-driven growth cycle as well. So having a website that will convert your visitors into taking an action for you. That's where you can see all that. If you're interested in more in what I have to say, my long-winded answers and things like that, we do have our own podcast, the Nice Job Podcast. I invite you to check out. As we're doing this conversation now, we're between seasons, but I'm hoping season 4 will come out in 2022 here. And that's where we really kind of walk our walk and talk our talk. There is a lot of the topics aren't necessarily just about reputation marketing. Sometimes we look at that through that lens, but really it's about talking to business owners, finding out new concepts, and really kind of hoping to spread some education out there and have everyone feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more positive in what they're doing in the day-to-day, and hopefully leading them to success. So the website, once again, get.nicejob.com. Go there, and that's the gateway for everything.
Brilliant. Well, we'll leave a link to that. And if the podcast is linkable as well, I'll find out where that is and link to that too. Shawn Hill, thank you so very much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. I really appreciate the time. And I hope everyone listening got at least one nugget out of there, but it's been my pleasure.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in there. Thank you for all of that. And thank you, folks, for listening to another episode of More Perfect Marketing. Hope to see you back here again real soon. Take care.